You're happy camper.
We need a wave going.
Wave!
Well, there is certainly no question political arm twisting has helped move baseball right toward expansion. One of the main motivators on that is Senator Connie Mack from our own area, who lives, or rather joins us live from Washington, D.C. He was hoping to be live at the ball game here tonight. Senator, there's been an awful lot of debate about the pressure from antitrust and the politicians up in Washington. Baseball enjoys that exemption right now. If baseball expands by 2 teams next summer, will the Senate be happy and let these guys get on with their business and get them off the hook a little bit, or how does that figure out?
I don't know. It's a little bit hard to tell you at this point. You know, since 1922, the exemption from antitrust provisions has been something that has involved the political side of this, as I say, for many years. We've found out in the past it seemed like the only way to get something done from Major League Baseball was kind of hold out that threat. I'm not in a position at this point that I want to see us continue to push forward with the idea of threatening. But what we are concerned with, we represent groups of people all over the country. I happen to represent the state of Florida, as you've been talking about, with 3 particular cities that really are so energized and almost demanding that Major League Baseball come, that it's hard for us not to be involved in this debate.
Senator, I think a lot of people would say, well, wait a minute, you're up in Washington, D.C. True, you're from Florida, but you gathered with other senators and congressmen up there, and why not push for the Washington, D.C. franchise? Do you have a splintered effort up there?
Well, let me tell you something. Again, politicians, you know, we're not elected by the people in Washington, D.C. We're elected by the people in our particular states. For me, that's Florida. Tampa, St. Pete, Orlando, Miami, all very important areas, all really not only trying to get Major League Baseball, but I think any of the 3 could satisfy the requirements. I think we're going to get one of those teams in Florida.
Okay, let's go back up to Cleveland also, because I think these guys want to get in on the discussion. And
Sure.
I was hearing, Chris, that Dave Nightingale had a question he'd like to fire back.
I'm sorry, I missed the last part of that, Dick.
I say I understand that Dave Nightingale wanted to talk to the senator about some things.
Well, Senator, yeah, always happy to talk to a senator, Senator Mack. I just wondered if the antitrust really is the threat anymore. The only person that I ever saw move a franchise immediately was Senator Symington, and I wonder if it's been done before or since.
I don't believe it's been done since then, but one always holds out the possibility that there is a way to use some leverage. I think that, frankly, the fact that there's been the announcement, the official announcement now that there's going to be an expansion of 2 teams, that frankly that slows down any of the attitude here in Washington. I think people are going to kind of wait and see where the 2 teams are going to be located, you know, which of the locations are going to be picked, which franchise owners. So I think that kind of, in a sense, kind of lessens the pressure, but there are many people that think that the teams, that the league should expand by a total of 6 teams between now and the year 2000, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens during this next period of time.
All right, well,
Thank you,
Senator, we
Senator.
want to thank you very much for joining us live from Washington, D.C. And what he was talking about, the state of Florida, I guess the most important question remains, does Tampa Bay have a mortal lock in the state of Florida? Well, at least 2 other cities, Orlando and Miami, will say no to that. We'll take that into consideration when we come back.
Welcome back. The game of expansion baseball is a serious game of hardball. We want to introduce you to 3 people representing the 3 Florida cities, and they're going to state their cases as to why they think those cities should be considered. First is Mr. Alberto Cardenas of Miami, who represents a group there who believes that baseball should be in Florida's southernmost city among the 3. Joining us from Orlando is Pat Williams, the general manager of the Orlando Magic, and also working with Mr. William DuPont to acquire a franchise there. And then back down at St. Petersburg, the assistant city manager of St. Petersburg, Rick Dodge. Mr. Cardenas, we're going to come to you first. And as briefly as possible, since we're getting a little long here, why does Miami deserve a franchise over the other two cities we've mentioned?
For many reasons. It's the largest area in the state of Florida. Historically, it's always gotten the first professional sports franchise. We're the first professional football team, the first basketball team, and we'll be the first baseball team. Number 3, no other city in America provides a gateway to Latin America as we do. And I think that's important for baseball. 25 of the top 100 players in this country are Hispanics, and I think that's important. Number 4, you'll have the first minority-owned team in the history of baseball, and I think this nation is sensitive and ready for that. And number 5, every other major league sports team has been successful in South Florida. This one will. Its ownership team is ready to write the check, and we're ready to do it. I think we should be the favorite.
Thank you, Mr. Cardenas. So let's go up to Orlando. Pat Williams, I know trying to keep you brief is difficult, but you got to do it, pal. Why Orlando?
Let me enumerate the reasons. Number 1 is location. Orlando is located in the center part of the state, which unlocks the whole state to Major League Baseball. Secondly, ownership group headed by William DuPont. You can't do any better than that. The third reason that I think is vital is the ballpark. We're in a position to build exactly what baseball wants. They said today they prefer a baseball park only, open air, grass field. Orlando is the only city in Florida that can produce that. Fourth is community involvement through the demonstration to the magic and the fervor and the spirit that is generated here in Central Florida. It is very, very unique. Fifth is demographics. As you look at disposable income and the median age of this area, there's no place in Florida that can match it, to say nothing of the fact that it's the #1 tourist destination in the world, which means people from all over the world would be coming here and would be exposed to Major League Baseball. And I think the final reason... Yeah, baby.
Yeah, Pat, Mr. Cardenas had 5, you got 5. That's it. Because I know you'll go up to 10.
Well, I was
Thanks
just
a lot.
All right.
He will. He'll go right up to 10. All right, let's go back down to St. Petersburg. Rick Dodge, you're on, please.
All right.
Well, I would say that we have a love affair with baseball that began in 1914 with the St. Louis Cardinals, and that love affair continues. We have an excellent fan base. We sold 25,000 season ticket reservations. We're not talking about a facility that can be built. We're talking about a facility that is built and ready to play in. And although it's true that I would love to have natural grass, right now the National League has over 50% of their clubs already playing on artificial turf. We have an ownership group that's been tested. They've owned 42% of the Twins and were invited in for the romance with the Texas Rangers. They're known to baseball. They've already been approved to own part of a club in baseball. We have a great corporate community, and we have just all the other elements have been previously mentioned about state and also local governmental support.
All right, Rick, that's 5. Thank you very much. Now let's go to Hal Bodley, baseball editor of USA Today, baseball analyst for CNN. They all sound like marvelously compelling reasons, but there aren't going to be 3 expansion franchises in Florida. Which one is the best, or which one do you think will get it?
You know, Chris, I think it's going to be really a difficult decision for baseball to make. Right now, if you were choosing, you would have to pick St. Petersburg, Tampa. But don't rule out Orlando, because as Pat said, they can build the kind of stadium that baseball is asking for, and they have deep pockets. The pockets are much deeper than Frank Mersante's in Tampa.
Are you thinking, does this really come down then to a money game and the guys who can deliver the stadium that baseball most wants?
Commissioner Fay Vincent has said many times, most recently today, that stability of ownership is going to be very, very important. They want an owner to be able to sustain a team during years of losses, and that is going to be very, very important.
And Dave, to which you say?
Well, I think, again, as I've said all along, I think this is going to be one of the dirtiest 18-month periods that we've seen in a long time. I think that 4 cities are really hard in the hunt, and those 4 are going to be spreading as much dirt. Each one of those is going to spread as much dirt about the other 3 as possible. Denver, again, although baseball denies geography as a factor, Denver is sitting out there by itself with no logical, viable, heavy competition. However, we have Mr. Williams and Mr. DuPont in Orlando that are, and we have Buffalo, and we have Tampa St. Pete, and we have an honorable gentleman here with Miami that has the money. I think that Miami's weakness is that it hasn't demonstrated its ability to draw players.
Maybe 20, we've been around covering baseball for a long, long time. Nothing in this game is logical.
No.
Nothing happens.
So that means that we're all wrong, and none of these teams involved.
Right.
We see that's why they have a pitch in baseball called screwball.
Yeah.
That's right.
We'll go with Charlotte, North Carolina, and Fayetteville, New York, and we'll be right.
I have this terrible feeling that maybe somebody will come along and blow us all away, and it'll be some of these cities that we're not expecting.
Give me your 2 picks.
2 picks. Denver 1, and I'm going to hedge the other and say Buffalo and Tampa St. Pete are dead even right now.
Hal Bodley?
I would say Tampa, St. Pete, and also Denver. But again, don't count Orlando out, don't count out Buffalo.
Okay, I think we have to go. Are we supposed to go back to Dick now, down at St. Petersburg? Let's do it. Richard?
All right, thank you.
All right, let's take a break. And we'll be back as the show rolls on in just a moment.
Ruben Sierra comes and right number 6.
And you trust.
In the middle of the sixth inning, it's good news for Dunedin. They're ahead 4-2 over the St. Pete Cards, right, Gail?
It's been a great evening and a lot of fun, and it's been really interesting, Dick, for us to hear how the other cities are shaping up against the St. Petersburg-Tampa area.
Well, I think that's really what the whole battle is going to be, too. And now that we know what it'll take to get a team, we have to sit back and wonder about how that time schedule is going to play out. But one of the things I wanted to point out was something that was very important and perhaps hasn't been mentioned yet so far, and that is that the stadium, the Florida Suncoast Dome that is already in place, in essence got the stamp of approval from Major League Baseball owners when indeed the Chicago White Sox were on the verge of moving to the Tampa Bay area. They were going to make the move. Baseball had approved the move and in essence had approved the stadium. There had been tours of it. They had looked it over and they said, yes, Major League Baseball can be played there. So I think that's an important point that we have to bring up. Let's go back up to Cleveland, though. And Chris, we sit down, we add all of this together, and we come up with a very complex formula. And I'll have to admit, anybody that thought it was going to be cut and dry for the next couple of months and next year, if you will, I think now knows that it is going to be a battle out there, and it's going to be interesting to see just what each city digs up on the other.
I think I'll take 8 hours sleep and worry about it tomorrow. Here's the way I feel about it. You know, I was very lucky growing up as a youngster. I grew up watching legends play the game in legendary venues named Ebbets Field, the Polo Grounds, and Yankee Stadium. The players were named Mantle and Mays, Duke Snider, and Jackie Robinson. I loved baseball more than anything in life. And then two men broke my heart. They were baseball owners, Horace Stoneham and Walter O'Malley, and they took the Giants and the Dodgers clear out to the West Coast. Well, a youngster who's 11 years old certainly doesn't understand business and economic opportunities. And now, 32 years later, a new set of owners can repair the damage and repay the debt. That youngster is now a man in his 40s, but when it comes to baseball, meaning me, he's still a kid at heart. I wanted to tell these guys this week, hey, give me a team. You guys owe me one. Richard?
All right, Chris, and I can echo those thoughts too, both of us being from New Jersey, and I was a diehard Brooklyn Dodger fan from the word go, and it broke my heart also when they left. But baseball has been in the St. Petersburg, Tampa area for these many years. As Rick Dodge said, since 1914. Some of the greatest names that ever played the game played right here on this field behind me tonight, Al Lang Field. They were there. They helped make baseball great. And I believe that this community, and I speak of the Tampa Bay area, including all of the surrounding cities and areas, as one unit, as one community, this community will continue to make history in baseball with its own pro team. And now, as I turn it back to Bob and Gail, guys, I'd like to tell you that should Dunedin win tonight, they will break a record for the best record ever in baseball. They are 53-13 going into this game tonight and on the way to that record.
Boy, it's been an exciting night to be here, to be part of so many things that are going on that affect our community.
And I'd like to compliment our sports department. I've never seen such fine coverage of any issue, I think, in the Bay Area before. And as far as baseball is concerned, there's 4,500 people or so watching this game tonight. We're all having a great time, right, gang? Yeah. So let's bring the major leagues to Tampa Bay, and let's give Dick and Chris a team again.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and we're so glad you all would stay up with us and join us for this very special baseball night here from Al Lang Stadium in St. Petersburg, home of the St. Petersburg Cardinals. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back tonight at 11. Certainly hope you will be too.
You better drive fast, Gail.
Playing first.
Stay off of first, will you?
Well, what do you want me to do?
Now, what's the guy's name on third base?
What's on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know.
He's on third.
There I go, back on third again.
Well, I can't change their names.
Will you please stay on third base, Mr. Broadhurst?
Now, what is it you want to know?
What is the fella's name on third base?
What is the fella's name on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?